Like we wanted to make junk healthy, right? That was inherently a purpose that we wanted to chase, right? Our mission was to unjunk India and the world one kitchen at a time, right? That's our mission statement, right? And how do you do that, right? Without really, alienating people, without really telling people that, you can consume this without any hindrances. So our name was very, very important, right? If the name is right, then I think half the job is done, right? And we were catering to two broad cohorts, two broad audience cohorts. Okay, one was the millennial mothers, and one was the Gen Z.
Hey, this is where I talk to the best drivers of the direct-to-consumer industry, like founders, investors, marketers, CROs, agencies, and dwell into strategies that they've been using to build some great D2C businesses. Let's go on the D2C drive. I'm your host, Ashish Ramamurthy. Hey, folks, what's up? You guys have been building some great consumer products over the week, and I hope all of your sales are going well and your profits are going well. That's all I wish, being in D2C, right? To everyone who's listening or operating one or anything you're doing. I'm very excited today to bring in Monish from Wicked Gud. They're all about noodles. They're all about comfort food. They're all about making people healthy through the stuff that we've been having from long period of time as kids, as adults, and even when we get old, we're gonna have pasta and noodles and all that stuff. So great to have you, Monish, on the D2C Drive podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Ashish, for calling me here. I'm good. Things have been hectic, but not complaining.
Yeah, I mean, hectic fun is good, right? Like having fun and like serving customers and doing what you want. That's what you want, right? Like pretty much at the end of the day. Awesome. Yeah. So folks, this podcast is also partnered with this folks called as Nectar.io, where Nectar.io is sort of like a solution to convert your one-time purchases to repeat customers and lifetime customers. So go and check it out on Nectar.io. Monish gonna talk about how Wicked Gud also became better. How did Nectar.io help them? But let's talk first about noodles. Let's talk about pasta, right? So Monish, just this my thought process here, right? So I guess I'm a 90s kid, to be really frank, right? So when I started, for me, pasta and pizza and all of that stuff was very alien until I went to college, right? And I started discovering that, like there's stalls coming in, new people are coming in. There's sort of like a whole European kind of food lifestyle coming into India. And, college kids are going crazy at it. There is pop-ups coming in and all that. And then eventually all of our households converted from, the normal roti, dal, chawal to pretty much, going for, pasta and pizzas and stuff like that. So just wanted to little bit understand, like, you guys have been lovers of noodles, I'm sure, from a long period of time. What got you to kickstart Wicked Gud? Like, I want to get back to that story,
Actually, it's a very interesting question, right? As a country, as a culture, I think 80s actually was the advent of the Western culture getting into our mainstream, right? So be it the music, be it the way people started dressing, be it the way people started eating food. I still remember, there was a time when thumbs up and gold spot were the coolest things, right? So as a kid, if you'd go to a birthday party, it would be like a thumbs up or a gold spot and wafers and cakes, right? And that's how the advent of the westernized food came to get into our lives, right? Again, if you trail back, okay, yes, I think at Wicked Gud, all of us are big binge eaters of like noodles and pastas and all sort of junk, right? And that's exactly was the problem, right? The starting point was these are categories which were growing very, very fast. Okay, if you talk about like the noodle category, it's a 15,000 crore category. Okay, if you see the pasta category, it's a 3,000 crore category, right? And these are categories which are very, very progressively growing with every passing day.
Is this India or global?
This is India.
This is India.
This is India, right? And primarily, if you see the inclination of the culture towards these food items or these way of consumption is tremendously high, right? But where we actually thought there is a need gap is the need gap of nourishment and compromise on your health, right? So
Okay.
all these things were amazingly deliciously tasty, right? Like I remember growing up eating noodles, right? And I think all of us have grown up eating noodles, a lot of instant noodles, right? Because that was easily accessible, it was easy to cook. There wasn't like a real rocket science recipe around it. You cut the packet, put it in water, boil it, serve it, put some ketchup, put some veggies, that's it, right? And then you eat it. Okay, it took us almost like a decade to really understand that what we're consuming, what we're eating was so detrimental to the health. It was it was terrible for your health because it was largely made with refined flour in popular culture called maida, right? And that inherently goes into your tummy and fills up your tummy because it's empty calories. And we feel, wow, I'm full, right?
And it's so hard to break down maida, like for
It's
our
so hard
body.
to break down, right? And it's empty freaking calories, right? It's not giving you any nourishment. It's not giving you any macronutrients. It's not giving you any micronutrients, right? So inherently, it's like eating thermocol, which is delicious, right? So yeah, I think that was one of the starting points that we wanted to identify categories which were of a certain size. Okay, we are a mass premium brand, and our approach was also to go mass, right? So we did not want to go for niche categories which was about health. And see, inherently, though we are a health food brand, okay, we are not how do I say? We are not here to we're not a professorial health food brand,
Yeah, I
right?
get you. I get
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So we're a fun brand. You can see the brand, you can get into the universe of Wicked Good, and you will realize that over here people are all about fun. People like, you want to eat noodles, go ahead and eat noodles. We'll take away the guilt out of it.
No, I
You
haven't
want to
read it. Like, guys, folks who are listening, I went to their Instagram, the kind of like videos that these guys make, and they're also on YouTube. I was like, damn, I've never seen a great Indian brand nail marketing, you know, at such a early stage, to be really frank, because like usually you have tons of money and you throw out and you create these kind of stuff, but even with you guys having maybe raised 2 rounds of money, still I realized you're cutting it so lean and you're cutting it so creative when you're telling about the story out there, and you're telling it from a kid's mouth. That I was like, okay, wow, okay, here is a brand where kids are being their ambassadors and kids are nailing it when it comes to like talking about them. I'm like, okay, like what other brand comes to my mind? Like I didn't get any, to be really frank, Manish. Like I was like, none.
Thank you so much. I think validations always act as motivators, right? Especially for teeny weeny more startups like us, right? Because we don't have the capability of going mass media, right? You can't. Today, one of the biggest, extravagant event of the country and probably one of the biggest thing in the world is on. It's IPL, right? As a brand, I would want to be a part of it. But unfortunately, the commercials attached to it, the competition, the big brand ruling that entire IPL scheme. Okay, probably sometime very very soon, right?
I mean,
So yeah,
that's what building new ideas and bringing new stories out there in the society is all about. That's what entrepreneurship initially is all about. Like, I mean, like I always wrote for brands who bring in this new concept into the market. I know how hard it is to succeed in it, uh, but give it some hustle, give it some patience, and I've always seen that people with grit who go through that initial 4 5 years of period. After 5 years, you don't have to build your brand. The world will build your brand. World will build your business. So I mean, like I get, man. I get what you're talking.
no, absolutely. Thanks for understanding and I think putting the right words, right? Because we go through those motions every day. And you said
Yeah.
something very interesting, right? Sometime back. What we try to build even in our storytelling is simplicity and relevancy, right? We have to be simple because what we are trying to discuss and what we are trying to bring about as a change is something which every one of us outside this periphery of the screen requires, including the both of us, right?
Yeah. You kind of making health eating fun. That's how I can put it. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And what we are trying to do is we are making eating fun again, right? Because eating junk was not fun because everybody underwent that trip of guilt, right? After eating it or before eating it. Like, oh, today I'm like, I don't want to eat this, like, sambar, or I don't want to eat this dal, or I don't want to eat this, like, tindli, okay? And I'm going to eat like a noodle, or I'm going to eat like a pasta,
Yeah, and
right?
also if you understand, right, some of these things that we have developed into ourselves has been a lot of like want to belong in that society as well, right? When it comes to like you going and you don't like pizza, for example, but your friends are hanging out and like eating pizza and they offer you and you say no, right? I mean, like you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course, of
Yeah.
course. So there's a lot of, how do I say, there's a lot of psychology involved, okay, where you actually, whether you end up eating it or you end up rejecting it, there is a certain amount of toll that you take mentally, right? If you're rejecting it, then you are like, oh, I'm depriving myself out of something which is fun, okay? And if you're eating it, then you go through that entire trip of guilt, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to make it simple. We wanted to make food simple again. You know what? Just go ahead and eat. Like, you don't really have to think, right? Even in our brand architecture, okay, we give everything out very blatantly. So if you go ahead and read our packs, okay, they're very clean. Okay, we declare everything that is in the pack. There are no hidden, ingredients. There is nothing that we hide. Okay, there's nothing like, you put like multiple asterisks and like, you kind of attribute all of that in the smallest of font size and things like that, right? And from brand architecture at a very, very rudimentary level, which is packaging, to the usage of names in our commercials. So if you see all the instant noodle commercials, you will see the main protagonist being named Saral, right? Which is the Hindi for simple, right? Simplification, right? So he is coming in, she is coming in. We have made Saral as a unisex, right? So across commercials, there is a baby boy and there's a little girl who is by the same name of Saral. They're coming and they're demystifying the instant noodle narrative, right? So yeah, small humble beginnings.
So let me just go back to that logo there. There
Yeah,
is
sure.
indulge, transform, and nourish.
Correct.
How did you form this? What was the intent behind all of this? And your mission states that you're here to enable moms and kids, right? That's your ICP that you're going after. So walk me in terms of like you guys have like pretty much like 2 years, right? Like what I
We'll
know.
finish 2 years.
We'll finish. Oh, wow. That's great. So in your initial days, you spent one with great packaging. I know you guys have a great packaging. I saw it myself. Two, you've nailed your brand positioning, marketing. You've been on Shark Tank. You've been on Horses Table. You've done your bit for 2 years, which I don't. I talk to ton of D2C brands, and like you fall into maybe like 5% of people who have nailed all of this in the first 2 years. So walk me around. What was the process in these initial first 2 years? What has been going on internally? I crave some behind the scenes stuff, right? When it comes to building a brand, building a business. So would love to know what's been happening around that front.
No, I think very, very frankly and very, very honestly speaking, okay, we're yet to do much, much more, right? These are very, very early stage and this is very, very early and nascent for us. We did not want to start weak. So we spent a lot of time and effort to get our DNA very, very strong, very, very articulate and very, very prominent, right? We did not want to be misconstrued for something else. Because if you see the health food category, there's a lot of competition, right? And there's a lot of competition in terms of products, in terms of persona, in terms of offerings, in terms of how they, kind of communicate to the masses. So we wanted to kind of create a differential right from the beginning, right? And I keep saying this whenever somebody asks me this, right? Where do we want, like, the thought or the goal that we wanted to chase was something which was unimaginable. Like we wanted to make junk healthy, right? That was inherently a purpose that we wanted to chase, right? Our mission was to unjunk India and the world one kitchen at a time, right? That's our mission statement, right? And how do you do that, right? Without really, alienating people, without really telling people that, you can consume this without any hindrances. So our name was very, very important, right? If the name is right, then I think half the job is done, right? And we were catering to two broad cohorts, two broad audience cohorts. Okay, one was the millennial mothers, and one was the Gen Z, right? The generation Z, right? And these are also generations who have extreme importance attached to health, right? When I was growing up, okay, in college, binge eating, binge drinking was part of the culture. Okay, going to the gym, going exercising, playing was there, but it was no prominent. It was nothing so prominent, right? But today, if you see the generation, they're all about gym selfies. They're all about sweat selfies. They're all about fitness. Okay, so they're very cautious about it. So health has become part of their mainstream life culture.
Yeah, because we are a generation who craves attention. Like we're just engineering
Vanity. No, sorry, I did not.
yeah, there you go. Right, like you want to be good enough. You want to be going out there. You want to be telling what you want, and you want those likes, and you want all of that stuff.
It's
that.
actually beautiful, right?
Yeah, it's
Like
beautiful.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful, right? Because whenever I talk to Gen Z generations, and at the workforce also, my entire team is an all girl team. Okay, and yeah, and all of them are in that Generation Z space. Okay, and whenever I speak to them, the approach that they have in life is so refreshing, right? Because they look at life very, very in a very simple manner. That, oh, let me have fun now. Okay, but
Right.
I will not compromise of what I have lost while having this fun. Okay, forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's those small bits which even we all
Very thoughtful.
Yeah, very thoughtful as well. When it comes to say binge watching and like binge watching something and having a noodles night, for example, and calling your friends over is a simple thing that which brings joy to the day, which brings joy to the week. Right.
Correct.
That's how we're growing. Right now as a community, so to speak. Right. And it's very cool that now every product out there is becoming sort of this whole community aspect of the table. Do you have you guys run some community initiatives or experiments out there until now?
That's what I was trying to actually emphasize upon is that this is my audience. Okay, and for them, wicked is not a negative term.
Okay.
Like wicked is something which is the pinnacle of cool, right? How's your life going on? It's wicked, bro. Right now, I'm having like a wicked trip, right? A wicked course, a wicked girlfriend, a wicked, business that I'm starting. So wicked becomes this pinnacle of coolness. So we wanted to pick that notion up.
Wicked is the emotion that you want.
Correct. So wicked is cool, right? Wicked is amazingly aspirational, right? So that was the context of wicked for this generation and today, right? So we wanted to pick that word up, okay, and good, right? Good is good because we are a good brand with good ingredients, with good offerings, which is good for your health and so on and so forth. We wanted to take wicked, okay, which is the aspirational cool quotient, and good, right? But we wanted to bring in a little bit of design philosophy into it. So we do not have any German connection. Those are not umlauts. That's basically a personification of a smile that you have after a healthy meal or after a delicious meal. That's the smile, right? So we took that and we ingrained that into our logo. So it's an amalgamation of two different worlds, which is wicked taste and good ingredients coming together, right? Which was otherwise unimaginable. Yeah, sorry, you're saying something.
What about those indulge transform?
Yes.
How did those come about? What's the story behind it you want to tell to people?
Yeah. So the way wicked good is when you indulge in wicked good, you are getting nourishment, right? And when you are getting nourishment, you are getting transformed, right? So that's why you indulge in us, you get transformed because you get nourishment. So that's the nomenclature of it.
Awesome. Now that we understood a bit about your brand and all of that, I want to deep dive into some questions around how has the customers been talking about what's the kind of change that they have gone through, and also as a business, How has it been going to this market right now? What are the current challenges that you faced, and how did you guys overcome it? Would love to little bit understand that.
Yeah, I think the three questions that you asked probably would be the journey that you have undertaken so far for the past 2 years, right? Because that's inherently what we try to do, right? Very, very early stage, very, very early stage. I think we've got a lot of love. We've got a lot of love and warmth from the audience out there. Okay. The audience out there knows everything. The audience out there is very smart. The audience out there is very intelligent. The audience out there know what they should do and what they shouldn't. Okay. I think that's something which is very fortunate as a culture, right? That you are talking to an aware sort of audience, right? Who know that it is bad for them and they have to bring about a change. So when somebody has the intent to move over or intent to shift, okay, it's easier when you have a conversation.
So does your R&D and experiments become much more easier when it comes to doing that?
See, again, R&D for us is always going to be the most difficult thing because we do not want to compromise on the taste quotient, right?
Of course.
So thereby taking away everything which is bad and which is harmful for you, and yet keeping the taste intact, okay, so that you get the nourishment as well as not compromise on the taste is always going to be the trick deal, right? But that's what the challenge we have chosen, and I think we've got a rock solid R&D team. We've got a very, very strong how do I say, a strong process of how we want to approach what we want to approach, right? Right now we have pastas and noodles, but I think we are very clear what are going to be the next categories. We're going to have malted beverages, we're going to have chocolate spreads, and we're going to have like a lot of other categories which are already lined up, which are already there.
All of this is the gap that you're finding in the market, or the customers telling that, like I want more and more or different products from you guys?
I think both the things that you said is part of the same coin. Okay. So it's like there's a gap in the market, and also the customers want like a better deal, right? Because like, I don't know. Yeah. So it's more or less the same kind of narrative, right? So we're trying to build in a culture of like where there would be wicked good occasions in your life throughout the day, and yet you will not compromise on anything. Okay. So thereby it becomes better, stronger as a brand purpose to exist in the life of the customer, right? That's where we are. I think.
How did you guys reach to your customers? I want to understand that. Like because see, right now there's so many models of reaching to customer. Either go offline, go with that approach, or either go direct to consumer, or either go marketplace. All of that. What has been working for you guys when it comes to really having those loyal customer base built up, for your business?
Yeah. So as of 22nd of April 2023, we are at 100% D2C brand. Okay, but like end of this month, early next month, we will be an offline brand too, right? You will begin to see us on offline channels, largely GTs and MTs as we go forward, right? So far our approach of connecting with consumers was purely digital and social, right? We did not choose mass media. One, because that was not the idea that we envisaged when we started this brand. Okay, we are a 100% D2C brand who focus largely on social media and digital platforms to kind of connect with. Okay, as a brand, we spent a lot of time and effort on lead platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, okay, Facebook, Twitter, and so on and so forth. Okay. And we depend on performance marketing to kind of actually get the lower funnel activated. Okay. I think the biggest challenge, I think you asked that question earlier, that what has been our biggest challenge, right? Our biggest challenge has been that of awareness, right? And that impetus of awareness was given to us by a few reality shows which came into our lives, and that kind of helped us, enabled us to take forward our narrative to the mass audience in a more stronger manner, in a more profound, in a more clearer manner, right? And that is why today you see a lot of traction, which was not there before these, mass level activities happened in the lifespan of the brand.
So, because since you guys are purely D2C, how did you set up the D2C model, right? Like, what was it involved? Because first, finding a great manufacturer is the source of that. right? And then you take up with pretty much setting up the team, setting up operations, setting up your website for conversions, and then your communications and stuff like that. So what's the D2C operating stack that you guys have been doing?
I think it's pretty much like, the list of things that you set are always going to be there. Okay, I think the most important thing for us when we started was to get the product right. Okay, because product is the main key differential that you're creating, right? Rest everything else. One is the product, second is the brand, right? And brand from the relevancy of community, because today, like your success is determined by your set of repeat purchase. It's not the initial primary purchase that happens. It's about repeat purchase, right? And repeat purchase happens like today. Why do you buy an Apple and why do you buy a Google Pixel, right? I think Google Pixel is much more advanced as a phone, as a device, but like, there is no conversation. Like, there's not even a competition between Apple and Google Pixel, right? And that's exactly what the entire narrative of consumer products are, that you build something which is a strong differential, you build something which is good for you, which is beneficial for you. There is no compromise on that. Be as transparent, be as honest, be as clear, be as strong as possible when you build that. Okay, and then build a community with the strength of your communication, with the strength of your relevant communication, right? If you're able to do this too, I think rest everything will fall into place. So for us, it was always about building a rock solid product and a offering portfolio. Okay, after that, having a strong team. Okay, and after that, building the narrative over marketplaces, because when we started, okay, even today, a substantial portion of our revenues always are from marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart, Zepto, Swiggy,
Big basket.
Big Basket, all those platforms. Okay, plus the brand website, the brand.com, wickedgud.com. Okay, that's where the majority sales comes from. Okay, so that was important.
That's interesting. Let me just stop you right there. How do you optimize your website for better sales? Like, what all elements come into play when you're trying to enable people that, hey, after you maybe buy from marketplace, buy from me, right? And how do you also like keep that loop going on from your own website? Because I think for your bottom line that plays pretty good, right?
So again, a website is a complete community game, right? When you get introduced to a certain brand, okay, the first thing is to go to the website and go to the social media platform and check what the brand is all about. Do you feel like the language of the today's generation? Like, are you vibing enough? Right? If you're vibing enough, then you are like into that wormhole, right? And then you like then everything that gets exposed to you, you're either vibing with it or you're like not vibing, right?
Everything is a concert coming into
right. So I think first and foremost, most important, whenever you think of any website for any D2C brand or any consumer brand, I think it has to be the linearity and the simplicity that happens, right? People come to your website to make a purchase. Okay, people come there with an intent. Okay, so do not prolong their patience. Okay, show them what you have, give them what they want. Okay, and make the process simplified. So if you come to our website, you can actually click 4 times and you're out of it making a purchase. So if you see our website, it's very simple. Okay. Yes, there are enablers like we have platforms for CRM, okay, through which we're constantly in touch with the consumer base. Okay, we keep a conversation on through WhatsApp, we keep a conversation on through emailers, we keep a conversation on with like SMSs and push notifications, and like so thereby there is a sense of belongingness, and there's also like a relationship which is like warm, lukewarm to cold. Okay, and then when they come to your website, they're also getting better values, right? So that value proposition might be a discounted price. That value proposition might also be the curated thing where they're like, oh, I did not know what all to buy. They're helping me by curating it in different combos. Right? So thereby you're giving value proposition in 2 different ways.
How important is it to keep your people who bought from you engaged in wanting to use your product at least on a weekly basis, right? How is the frequency of that? How do you make people indulged pretty much in using your product?
See, how important are they? They're very, 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 very to the power n important, right?
How do you do it?
Yeah. But again, as a brand, you don't want to be spamming them. right? Because there's a very, very subtle line between becoming a warm brand and a spam brand, right? But we have technologies, we have platforms where you can get in touch with them at the whims and fancies of the brand, right? Sending a WhatsApp, sending an emailer, but you have to find that nice blend of balance, right? Where you are not really infringing that privacy parameter and also giving the person the value proposition, right? So see, again, pastas and noodles are regular consumption patterns, but also when you buy like like 400 grams pasta or like 800 grams of pasta in pack of two, okay, there is going to be a certain amount of time that you will need to exhaust them, right? Noodles again are more regularly consumed, variant of junk food. Okay, so yes, what we inherently try to do is we try to be subtle. We try to keep our relationship very human. Okay, we tend to give them recipes. We tend to give them value propositions which are not just related or focused towards sales. Right. One of the biggest things that the brand has, and I think that's an advantage. I think the entire team, along with all three of us, we're very serious about customer feedback. Right. That's like a holy grail. If a customer has a feedback, we will drop everything and we will go to that customer. Right. And there are
I love that obsession in people. Yeah.
So that's who we are building the brand for, right? You can you can probably lose a social media posting, okay, but you can't be not hearing a customer who has called in your customer care number, right? Just to give an example, small startups, little teeny mini more problems that you always have, right? So there's an office phone which you take to the event for clicking photos and clicking this and clicking that, and then that phone is also your main interface for the customers to come in, right? So when you're talking to them, they're like, oh, you're an event, it's fine, we'll talk later. And we're like, no, hang on, we'll give you a call, and we go and we spend like a lot of time trying to understand what is the grievance. And there's like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of love that gets directed towards us. People call us up and they're saying, thank you so much for making this. I gave this to my kid who was a huge fan of noodle, and now she has slowly and steadily started eating your noodles. So those are the moment of I think as a startup, those are the moments that give you the motivation to do more, put in that extra, tell the team that there's nothing to be sad about. So those things are the best things that happen in a startup, right?
So I'm curious now to also understand. So everybody talks about understanding customers is important. While that's a very generic statement, I want to know what kind of behaviors, what kind of patterns have you been able to recognize when it comes to consumption of noodles, consumption of all of this stuff at home, like all of that. What is those patterns that you guys are now starting to see come up? Would love our listeners to talk about it or hear about it.
See, again, I think the consumer behavior is in a constant state of change, right? How people used to behave a year back or pre-pandemic and how they behave today, there's like a heaven and earth difference, right? It will be too early for us to actually say that we have seen certain solidified patterns. Okay, yes, there are certain things which I think all of us kind of know it actively or passively. That nobody wants to eat not tasty food, right? Whether you are a health freak, whether you want to eat healthy, whether you don't care about it, whether you have a good metabolism, whether you are somebody who needs that additional push to become healthy, whichever sphere, whichever segment you belong to, one thing is a constant: people want to eat delicious, tasty food, right? Everything else is secondary, right? So if you are a food brand, okay, the quintessential thing is you have to be tasty. Rest, everything is secondary. Okay. Are you giving nourishment? Yes, bingo. Are you a clean label? Okay, yes, bingo. But are you tasty enough? If you're not tasty enough, then nothing moves.
Okay, help me understand this. When I have to make a pasta, I need the noodle, I need the sauce, and there's a lot of things which goes into making a pasta and a noodle. So when you're saying that it's tasty, is it your noodle which is creating that magic, or it's a sauce? Like, are you guys giving everything in one? I'm trying to understand how that tastiness is provided to the consumer?
Uh, I think you've mixed pasta and noodles together. So I want to first segregate that, right? We make dry pastas. We do not make ready to eat pastas. We make ready to cook pastas. So you can take those pastas, make your own sauce, make your own mix, and then you can consume them, right? And noodles are neatly segregated into two. What is an instant noodle, which is like any other brand of instant noodle. There's a seasoning sachet in it. There's a noodle cake in it. You boil it, you put the sachet, you boil it further to your taste, and then you consume it. It's ready to eat, right? And there's a hakka noodle, which is a classic hakka noodle, which you boil, and then you make your own sauce or your mix, and you mix it and you consume it, right? See, I think taste quotient comes from the fact that, we are made of grains, right? We are made of chickpeas, we are made of lentils, we are made of brown rice, we are made of durum wheat, we are made of whole wheat, which is inherently, these are all delicious ingredients. These are all tasty ingredients.
There you go. Now I got to know that whole nourishment piece, right? Where if you're having pretty much, if somebody's cooking from your own products, then everything from carbs to protein to all of that is sorted. You're full with having just, one plate of Wicked Gud noodle or a pasta. Am I right or wrong?
Yes. Yeah. That's the premise, right? And like the example of the magician taking an Indian plate, right? An Indian thali, which is like the dal, chawal, chana, and you do magic, and then it becomes like a pasta or it becomes like a noodle, right? That's inherently what you're consuming is delicious pastas and noodles, but what your body is actually getting out of it is the nourishment of chickpea, lentils, brown rice, oats, high protein, high fiber, a better balanced macros, right? So that's inherently what we bring about.
Awesome. Thanks, Monish, for talking a lot about the business and stuff. So now towards, as we are about to go to the third phase of the podcast, I'm very curious into knowing, you guys have raised money. There is some sort of plans to obviously look into the future for that. What is the future for Wicked Gud?
As a consumer food brand, we are yet to see the best time. Okay, this has just been the humble, nimble-footed beginning. Okay, we're just about establishing our credential, what we stand for, what we are here to offer. Okay, we're looking for a Series A. Okay, we are in that process. Okay, you will see a lot more happening as a brand in the next few weeks. Okay, as a brand, it's very, very important to constantly improvise yourself, become better in terms of your offering, in terms of your communication, in terms of how you're getting perceived. So we are spending a lot of time with the customers, okay, trying to understand where the problem is, trying to understand how we can improve it, trying to understand as a brand, how are we getting perceived, okay, trying to understand how as a brand we can become more simplified in terms of relevancy, in terms of understanding, in terms of what we are here to core offer. Okay, so all those things are there. So that's what the future lies, and that's where we want to become a synonymous brand which is looked upon or thought of whenever people want to indulge, right? So whenever we want to indulge, we want to become that synonymous brand that, guilt-free indulgence is all about Wicked Gud.
Awesome. Can't wait for those stories to come out, and can't wait for you guys to go offline, because I've realized that being a food brand, you gotta be offline as well. People need to see you. People need to feel how you taste. So I think I'm sure you're looking at some offline pop-up experiences, and I don't know if that's coming down, but I'll be very excited to see those Wicked Gud pop-ups. Come in and people have a noodle time, right? Pretty much, right? Or a Wicked Gud time. There you go. Right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's pretty cool, Monish. So, thank you so much for being here. Any last words or last advice when it comes to can you pick out maybe one or two learnings from the past 2 years which you felt that it was good to learn, but I don't want others to go through?
There's so many things, right? Just like so many things which you do not want anybody else to go through, right? Because those are sleepless nights and those are like really stressful moments, right? I think the most important thing as a startup is like, please focus on your core offering. Do not digress from your core offering. If you're a product brand, please put 150% interest and 150% dedication and focus onto what you're trying to build, right? If you're a consumer food brand, it's all about like, the taste. It's all about like what you're bringing to the world, right? So product becomes your main focus point. And secondly, I think team. Okay, what is the kind of team that you're building, right? Because these are the two core things that you cannot compromise on. Rest, I think everything is a constant state of change and a constant state of learning. A startup will always challenge everything that you have learned so far, and it will teach you in subtle manners newer things, which will be enabling you for the next few years of your journey. Okay, so don't be scared. Okay, it's an absolute roller coaster, journey. Okay, fail quick, fail fast, keep moving. Okay, do not uh, don't spend too much time in contemplating and thinking,
Mm.
right? You have to be in a constant state of progression, right?
Mhm.
You have to do things. Only when you do things will you understand how it happens. Only when you do things you will understand whether it worked or it did not, right? But yeah, be mindful. Do not be burn heavy. Okay, do not be spending too much money on initiatives which you're not really sure of. Okay,
Mm.
yes, give extreme importance to your customers because they are the ones who will be responsible for your success or failure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Thank
Love that, love that. Awesome, guys. Hope you had a great time talking to Monish. Go and check out Wicked Good. Go and check out, buy those noodles, buy those stuff. Tell us, reach out to Monish, tell a lot about how it is. And, let's make our lives wicked good, right? That's the motto. Yeah, thanks, Monish, for coming here. We'll see you soon. And anything that we can do from the community for the business, please let us know. Please let us know those listeners. They're always there. We have a community base as well. You can be a part of that, and hang out with other freelancers and all of those people who want to help grow good consumer brands across the world. So have a great thing, folks. And yeah, go ahead. I'm going to say, be Wicked Good, take Wicked Good, experience Wicked Good. We're right there.
Thank you, Ashish. It was lovely catching up. And yes, everyone out there, please go ahead. It's weekend. Indulge. Make your favorite bowl of noodle. Make your favorite bowl of pasta, and leave the guilt to us.
Awesome.
Okay.